China does not face an army when it looks at Taiwan. It faces a piece of land designed to destroy invasions. From space, Taiwan looks small, but from the sea, it is a wall. Every invasion in history that failed began the same way. A powerful force believed numbers would overcome geography. That mistake has killed empires. Taiwan sits behind a narrow stretch of ocean called the Taiwan Strait. It is only 130 kilometers wide, but it is one of the most hostile pieces of water on Earth. The sea is rough, the currents are violent, the weather changes without warning. This is not a highway, it is a grinder. Any army trying to cross this water must move slowly. It must move in giant ships, and it must move in the open. That makes it visible, that makes it predictable, and that makes it vulnerable. Taiwan does not need to destroy China's army, it only needs to break it while it is moving. History shows this pattern again and again. The strongest armies collapse when they are forced to attack across water. The Persian Empire failed in Greece, Napoleon failed in England, Hitler failed in Britain, not because their soldiers were weak, but because water exposes everything. China would face the same problem, but on a far more brutal scale, because Taiwan is not flat, it is not open, and it is not easy to enter. The entire western coast of Taiwan is a narrow strip of land. Behind it are mountains, steep, thick, and impossible to move heavy forces through. That means every invading soldier has only one place to go: forward. There is no room to spread out. There is no space to recover. There is no way to hide. An invasion force would arrive packed together. Vehicles, troops, fuel, ammo, all in one fragile column. This is not how wars are won. This is how armies are destroyed. China could build thousands of ships. It could train millions of soldiers. But none of that changes the shape of Taiwan. And it is the shape that decides who lives and who dies. What makes Taiwan dangerous is not its weapons. It is where it sits, an island, behind a hostile sea, with only a handful of doors to enter, and those doors are already covered. This is why the invasion plan does not begin on Taiwan. It begins in the water, and that water is where China's entire strategy starts to fall apart. Taiwan is not just an island. It is a weapon made out of land. Most people imagine it as a flat place, a simple target, a single coastline. That is wrong. More than 2/3 of Taiwan is mountains, high, steep, and almost impassable. These mountains run from north to south like a spine. They cut the island in half. Everything important lives on the western side. The cities, the ports, the factories, the airports. That means an invader has no choice. It must land on the west. But the west is exactly where Taiwan has prepared its trap. The coastline there is narrow. In many places, it is only a few kilometers wide. Behind it rise walls of rock and forest. Vehicles cannot move through them. Armored units cannot climb them. Supply trucks cannot pass. This creates a single deadly corridor, a thin strip of land between the sea and the mountains. Every invading soldier would be forced into this strip. There is no flanking. There is no maneuver. There is only forward. And forward leads into cities. Taiwan's major cities sit directly behind this coast. Taipei, Taichung, Kaohsiung. These are not open plains. They are dense concrete labyrinths. Every building becomes cover. Every street becomes a choke point. Every bridge becomes a kill zone. An invasion force would go from exposed ships to exposed beaches to trapped cities. There is no moment of safety in between. This is the geography China must fight through. Not tanks, not soldiers, but terrain. And terrain never gets tired. Once China's troops step onto Taiwanese soil, they would be inside a funnel, a narrowing corridor with no exit. More men would pour in behind them, more vehicles, more supplies, but none of it could spread out. Everything would stack up, slow down, and become easier to destroy. This is why Taiwan is not just hard to invade, It is designed to kill invaders. The island does not need to chase China. China must walk into the island. And that is where the real war begins. An invasion does not begin on land. It begins in the water. China cannot land anywhere it wants. Most of Taiwan's coastline is cliffs, rocks, reefs, or deep urban ports. Only a few places are usable for a large amphibious landing. Military planners have counted them. There are about 14 beaches. 14, that is all. These are long, flat stretches of sand where landing craft can actually unload tanks and trucks. Every other part of the island is useless for an invasion, and Taiwan knows exactly where these beaches are. So does China, which means these 14 locations are the most studied pieces of land on Earth. Every hill behind them is mapped, every road is targeted, every bridge is pre-planned for destruction. If China sends ships toward one of these beaches, Taiwan will already know where they are going. There is no surprise, and there is no backup plan. China cannot simply move to a different beach if things go wrong. The geography does not allow it. Landing craft move slowly. They cannot turn fast. They cannot hide. They must drive straight into whatever is waiting on the shore. And what is waiting is a wall of missiles, artillery, mines, and anti-tank weapons. Even if a few ships make it through, the first wave would be light infantry. They would arrive without tanks, without heavy support, without cover. They would step into a killing field. And behind them, more ships would be forced to follow the same path. The sea would become a traffic jam of steel. One missile hit, one burning ship, and everything behind it stops. This is not just dangerous. It is mathematically impossible to scale. 14 beaches mean 14 funnels, and every funnel can be turned into a slaughterhouse before any soldier reaches a city, before any tank fires a shot. The war would already be bleeding China dry in the surf. This is the first wall, and it is built out of sand, steel, and geometry. Before any Chinese soldier touches Taiwan, they must survive 130 kilometers of open ocean. This water is not empty. It is the most dangerous battlefield in the entire war. The Taiwan Strait is shallow, windy, and violently unpredictable. Large waves smash into flat-bottomed landing craft. Small storms turn into chaos, and navigation becomes slow and sloppy. But the real danger is not the water. It is what is above it. The entire strait is covered by Taiwanese sensors. Radar, drones, satellites, and underwater listening arrays. Every ship that leaves the Chinese coast is tracked within minutes. There is no hiding a fleet this large. Thousands of vessels would have to cross at the same time, and when they do, they become targets. Missiles from Taiwan can strike ships hundreds of kilometers away. So can American and Japanese submarines. So can aircraft. The invasion fleet would be packed tightly together. Transport ships, fuel ships, landing craft, helicopter carriers. One hit does not just sink one ship. It blocks everything behind it. A single burning wreck can clog the entire formation. Now imagine this happening dozens of times. The strait would turn into a floating scrapyard. Wreckage, fire, oil, smoke. Every explosion slows the rest of the fleet. Every delay gives Taiwan more time to reload. And unlike land warfare, there is no cover on the ocean. You cannot hide behind a hill. You cannot dig a trench. You float in the open. This is the second wall, not made of concrete, but made of water and fire. And every kilometer of it is designed to destroy an invasion before it even reaches land. The most dangerous moment of any invasion is not the crossing. It is the landing. This is when ships slow down. This is when ramps drop. This is when everything becomes exposed. Landing craft must point their noses at the shore. They cannot turn. They cannot reverse. They cannot dodge. They are forced to drive straight into whatever is waiting on the beach. And what is waiting is layered fire. Anti-ship missiles from the hills, artillery from inland batteries, rocket launchers hidden in buildings, mines buried under the sand. Even a single hit can block a ramp. A blocked ramp means no vehicles. No vehicles mean no heavy weapons. No heavy weapons mean no breakthrough. Now imagine this happening to multiple ships at once. Burning wrecks pile up on the shoreline. The beach becomes a wall of twisted metal. And behind it, more ships are arriving. They have nowhere to go. They cannot land. They cannot retreat. They stack up in the water. Every minute they wait, more missiles arrive. This is not a firefight. It is a traffic jam under fire. The first wave that makes it ashore is light infantry. They arrive with rifles. They arrive with backpacks. They arrive without tanks, without air cover, without resupply. They are standing in the open, between the sea and the city, cut off from both. This is where invasions are decided, not by how many soldiers you have, but by how many you can keep alive on the beach. And Taiwan's beaches are built to make that number as small as possible. Wars are not won by the first wave. They are won by the second and the third. Those waves bring fuel. They bring ammunition. They bring food. They bring medical care. China cannot deliver those things without ports, and Taiwan's ports are the most heavily defended locations on the island. Harbors are narrow. They are full of concrete. They are easy to block. A single sunken ship can shut one down for days. Without a port, everything must come over a beach. And beaches cannot support an army. Trucks cannot roll off fast enough. Fuel cannot be pumped fast enough. Wounded soldiers cannot be evacuated. Every hour, the force on shore grows weaker, not stronger. Meanwhile, Taiwan can move freely inside its own territory. It can shift troops. It can shift missiles. It can rotate units. China cannot. It is stuck feeding men into a shrinking pocket. Every destroyed ship makes the next one more vulnerable. Every delay makes the supply problem worse. And all of this happens while international pressure grows. Airspace closes. More enemies appear. More sensors turn toward the strait. China would not lose because it runs out of soldiers. It would lose because it runs out of time. This is the real geography trap. Taiwan does not need to defeat China. It only needs to survive. Because every hour the invasion stalls, the invasion becomes impossible. That is how the island wins. Not with a single battle, but with a system that refuses to break.